Hey guys, welcome to episode 8 of Slipping Out. In this episode, we're going to be taking a look at Rocky. Now, I'd just like to say a big thank you to Yolak, who gets a shout out in the video. To find out why, have a look in the description. Alright, so we're going to start by entering training mode, as the gym was somewhere I wanted to explore more of.
I want to see a good workout.
So let's start by taking a quick look at what's in the other rooms. Whilst I'm flying the camera around the room, you might notice that there are a lot of textures on the walls that just look like scribbles, and you can't really tell what's written on the posters, like this one in this back room for instance, that's not even attached to the wall. There's not too much to see outside the gym windows, although the developers have ensured that from any angle you would normally be able to see outside, the textures cover the gap to the black void, in some cases even going over the top, like this building having another side to it. One picture that definitely did catch my eye was this picture of a seemingly random person on the wall. Could this be a developer leaving their stamp on the game? Quite possibly. What I find interesting about this picture is it's quite difficult to see it from the normal camera distance, and it kind of reminds me of a certain Easter egg that was found on Resident Evil 4 just recently. Let's just take a quick look at Mighty Mickey's character model, and here we get a great shot of how blinking works. It's actually the whole eye texture that changes colour. Close up and inside the face it looks a bit weird, but from a distance this simple effect works pretty well. Enough training, let's move on to the main boxing venues. Of course, first of all is the chapel, and you'll notice as I move the camera, the shadows and sometimes the crowd act what you might think is a strange way, but we'll talk about that more later on. Let's have a quick look round at the chapel and see what we can find. There isn't too much going on inside the chapel that you can't see from the normal view in the ring, but it does give us a good opportunity to take a look at the lighting effects from the windows and the lights on the roof, and we can see how the flare is actually 2D textures, all of different sizes, colour and opacity. The only thing I wanted to see in Liberty Club is what's behind these bleachers, and weirdly when we go around the back we find a door to the building, probably because they designed the outside of the venue before adding the interior design. 8 Ball Club had a few parts that I wanted to take a closer look at. We can just about see on the TV, although it's very blurry, that they're watching either Rocky 1 or Rocky 2. I'm pretty sure that's Apollo Creed and Rocky on the screen. And again, weirdly, it also has textures of bottles behind the bar, not that you'd ever see behind here. Also, for the first time in any venue, we get moving objects outside. In this case, it's trains, so let's go outside and take a look. You can see that the trains are waiting just beyond the windows out of camera shot, and we can also see that the backdrop is a 2D texture. Philadelphia Stadium hasn't got much that we can't see from the ring, although we do get a lot of judges and press at ringside. These are all faces and models that we see throughout the game in different venues, and I do wonder if these were based on the production team. I especially like the smug look on this guy's face. Big Rock has quite a lot going on outside the ring. We have hot air balloons floating around, Ted's Donuts, an observatory, and of course the diner itself. There's nothing inside buildings, so I'm not going to waste too much time going inside those. But what I do want to do is take a closer look at the scenery. Now, I'm not exactly sure what this billboard is trying to advertise. Maybe it's something cryptic, or just something that was advertised in America at the time when the game was released. I'm not too sure. If you know anything about it, let us know. Again, like the trains that we saw earlier at the 8 Ball Club, the cars and truck are waiting just around the corner. Queensbury Stadium has a good crowd close to the ring, so at this point we can see the effect of moving the camera that it has on them. If we zoom the camera in and out, we can make them bigger or smaller. City Hall has a lot of design features that we never really get to see and appreciate, and I was surprised at how much there is of it, like this huge glass dome on top of the building, and also the buildings in the background go way higher than I ever expected, and certainly higher than is needed. Alrighty guys, we are in New York, and one of the main features that we see different in this stadium are the large screens that we can see a camera feed on. Now, if you saw my Mario Kart 64 episode, you may remember that we can have a lot of fun with these camera feeds by creating a constant loop effect. However, whilst I was filming this, and you may have noticed it yourselves, a certain texture keeps clipping through the screen, and I can only imagine that this was the original texture used before the camera feed, and then maybe it was forgotten about or just never removed, because normally it would never be an issue. Titan Beach now, and check out the view from the top of this hotel. Take a look at how the boats are actually floating in the air, not on the water, even though from the ring it does look like they're in the sea. And check out this helicopter. That's not all it's cracked up to be, it's only one-sided. Moscow Stadium from my favourite Rocky film, and a couple of new features in this one, like the stand where the generals sit, albeit in the game they are familiar faces. I was also quite surprised that the stadium seating behind the general stand was actually empty, and I know that sounds daft because of course no one will be able to see from behind here anyway, but I would have thought it'd be easier to copy and paste the crowd texture all the way around, but it shows the developers were thinking about places that the player wouldn't even see. The final venue we're going to take a look at is outside Mighty Mick's gym in the streets of Philly. Of course, there's nothing inside the gym at this point, but again, in the bar, we have Rocky on the TV, and we can also get to see just how far the trains go outside the area. Coming towards the end now, I just want to show you some of the animation scenes, like the count and the entrance animations. This is mainly just to show how models disappear during these scenes when not included in the camera shots.
Pretty even. Start using your jab. Evening in the red corner. Knockout.
That is it for this episode, guys. I certainly hope you've enjoyed it, and for extra content and to see what's inside this locker in the movie mode menu, have a look in the description to find out how. Until next time, as always, take care and stay slippy.